Welcome to episode 261 of Empty the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network presented by Playback. He's Tom Albano. I'm Nick Morgasen. Follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ETB Sports. Make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. As we get closer and closer to 900 subscribers and eventually 1,000. If you don't want to watch the video side, listen wherever you get your podcasts on the audio side. Whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Acast, YouTube Premium, iHeart, Odyssey, all platforms we are available on the audio side. So go check us out on all platforms. And also this show and the network presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience, from playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB Network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. A lot of Playback streams, hopefully, coming up within the next couple days and weeks. So just stay alert to everything that's going to be coming up. As I said, playback.tv/ETB Network. Before we get into all the pop-up circumstance, excuse me, for this episode, this is the official last episode of the year for 2024. Wow. Number one.
Like Zan mentioned on MMA Outsiders with me the other night, there was a point where it's like it felt like this year could potentially go on forever, and then once we kind of hit summer, it was like
there was so much more news in the summer than we really expected. That's what kind of pushed the summer. But when we tell you we got an episode for you, we got an episode for you, and it's baseball led this whole episode.
It always seems like the last couple of years, at least, the last week, like this week, because we always talk about behind the scenes stuff about best ofs and everything and all the, recapping of the year. It always feels like we have to wait until MLB winter meetings and do our last episodes then, because there's always something that comes out of it. 2 years ago, it was Aaron Judge. I remember our final episode of 22, we talked about Judge signing with the Yankees. Last year, it was the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes. And now here, it's Juan Soto.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it because there's a lot of stories to get into on the Juan Soto side.
Technically, we have, like you said, we have a lot, so we can't waste all the time in the world on Soto, but we did have a live stream reaction piece to Juan Soto.
I mean, I didn't want to because of where the news broke and when it did, but we did. And just seeing that news break, well, we'll get into that. That's going to be the lead for today.
I know. But I'm just saying, if you want full, immediate, honest, brutal reactions from when it happened, like right away, you can check out our social feeds.
Yeah, and by the way, there's some other parts of the story. That's why we're going to be leading with it. But before we get to all that, there's other big free agency pieces. We'll get into it. Major League Baseball is in Dallas for the official winter meetings for the offseason signings, and all the agents are there. So we'll get into all that. And we'll talk about Yankee future. We'll talk about Mets future. We'll talk about some other big free agents that's going to be coming. So we'll get into all that.
Some free agents who have signed and others that, well, as of December 10th, 8 p.m. Eastern time, we still have no idea as to their whereabouts or what's in their future. And
we had a breaking signing happen about a few hours ago, right before we got to here.
Right. So we'll talk about all that we can talk about. And if we miss anything, Ben Cruz and Ryan Toohey on Hitting for the Cycle, they'll be having a winter meeting special coming up in the next few days.
We weren't sure if there was going to be an episode. There's definitely going to be an episode now. There's been enough signings. There's been enough movement. There's enough rumors going around. There's definitely going to be an episode this week. So if you're waiting for your baseball fix, it's coming at the end of the week.
But we also had some football news that will come towards the end of the episode, including a rumor that's starting to get legs on Bill Belichick getting back into coaching. College
not
coaching?
Yeah, not the typical coaching you're thinking of.
Not NFL. College? It sounds weird to say, but maybe it's a reality, according to some of these rumors. Brock Purdy, is he staying? Is he going? Are they going to give him that long-term extension? We'll talk about it. We'll talk about that plane that flew over MetLife Stadium.
What a joke.
We'll talk about, we're not the biggest college football people, but we will talk about the first ever 12-team college football playoff bracket being released.
And not for the shameless plugs, because we keep giving it, but FP5, Forever Power 5, is going to be interesting this this week also.
The sports-specific shows, like Hitting for the Cycle, Forever Power 5, will have a lot to talk about this week.
A lot of content for them to cover, including the top 12 and obviously the Alabama SMU, who should get in, who should not. The 56-yard field goal, which that was an incredible game. We'll get into all that for sure. And then what else do we have? Oh, NBA and the NBA, and we'll finish off with the NBA going to China just because.
Going back to China.
Well, yeah. So let's get started because we have a lot of baseball to get into. And Juan Soto signs a massive 15-year, $765 million deal with the Mets. Can increase to $800 million. Actually, if we want to get even more technical, I read it was like $805 million due to in escalators with an opt-out after 5 years. Now, exactly. Now, let me just describe this in case people didn't understand how the whole opt-out situation works. This is the first time I've seen a very creative opt-out in a contract. So it's 5 years into the deal. So after the 2029 season, he could opt out, or Steve Cohen, which I'll get to, and I have a hot take on Steve Cohen, by the way, later. He can add, and I think it's an extra $4 to $5 million a year, $5 million a year for the last 5 years, which would value the contract at over $800 million to basically wipe away the opt-out clause. So and the big question in everybody's mind is, and you and I are Yankee fans, let's just be upfront with that. But everyone say, oh, well, you let him walk over $5 million. It's not $5 million. Can we get that clear, please? It's not $5 million.
No, it's $5 million with the potential that it could end up going another $40 million. And I'll say what I said on the live reaction stream. I guarantee you, if the Yankees matched what the Mets were offering, Cohen would have gone $800 million flat.
The bidding would have gone on until the Stone Age. I'm sure you saw all the funny tweets. Like it said 2029, Steve Cohen's still bidding. Like if the bidding kept going back and forth. Because that's, first of all, that's not a lie. He would have just kept going.
Steve Cohen, money is a toy.
And like I said, I have a hot take on that. And that's not just him, but it has to do with the way revenue-based stuff is ran. At least when we were younger, we knew everything based off of revenue base. In baseball, that's really no longer the case. But we all know the Mets were that Steve Cohen was basically going to stick his feet into the ground and not move them. Like
we said on Sunday, because he's desperate. He wants a player that's going to take his team over the top. After, credit to the Mets. After the first month and a half of the season, nobody expected that they were gonna come to much.
Remember how empty the stadium was at one point because of how bad they were playing?
That Mets Tigers game.
Yes.
And to think both of those teams ended up making the playoffs.
I think the Tigers are more shocking than the Mets, to be quite honest with you. But
well, then the Mets go on the grimace run, as we'll call it. And then they lost to the Dodgers. He's going to want a player that's going to take him over. The Dodgers got their big signing in Ohtani last year. And now they're going to have their big signing here, the Mets with Juan Soto.
But it's like I said to you also, just because you make that signing, Major League Baseball is not based on one player.
Correct. You're absolutely right. And And to add to that, I mean, look, I get he was going to get paid. And I get he's a Scott Boras client. And, well,
In the greediest way.
BS syndrome strikes again. But, I get how all the MLB players, all athletes in general, want to top one another when it comes to the contract game, especially now that Shohei Ohtani's contract, the season that he had was absolutely historical and phenomenal. Was insane. And but it's just, $700 million. The contract F the market. And the deferred money is a whole other issue in itself.
Well, right, because you're talking about present day value. Because
right.
the present day value. Go ahead.
No. Actually, explain what you were going to explain.
So the present day value is actually 300 plus million less on the Ohtani side than it is on the Soto front.
Right. And even if you were to just break it down by the simple numbers, forget all the deferred money. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 season, MVP, third time he's done it in 4 years. And now he's got 2 of the last 3. One was in the AL, one was in the NL. Got a World Series ring. He's going to be coming back and going to be that two-way player again and hopefully not get hurt. And
that's a scary proposition.
Scary thought, exactly. And think about this, Nick. If this Juan Soto contract goes to the max that it can, Juan Soto is going to be paid $105 million more than Shohei Ohtani's contract. I'm sorry. No.
That's Scott Boras in a nutshell.
How are you going to get paid more than the biggest player in baseball? I was willing, because this was a bit of a more hot take when it comes to our Yankee fandom. I was willing to allow Juan Soto to be paid more than Aaron Judge, because I get Aaron Judge as the captain, but you want to bring up when we were younger, was Derek Jeter making the most money on that team?
No.
It was Alex Rodriguez.
But I will also say that the Alex contract is an outlier. At least for that time period, it was an outlier.
But I would still say that I think it was still okay for Alex to be paid more than Jeter.
Well, also, Alex was just a historical player at the time.
Alex was a historical player. He's got his fair share of MVPs. And also, remember, Jeter is the kind of guy. And this goes to that, $5 million match. If he wanted to be a Yankee, he would have chosen to be a Yankee. Derek Jeter.
Well, the one thing I would debate before we finish that point is he was going to go to the highest bidder. He made that abundantly clear after the last out of the World Series when he was sitting at the locker.
And I understand that, but that I think furthers my point of, if he wanted to be a Yankee, he would have taken the cut. After all the BS that Jeter went through in the 2010 offseason, he still sat down, became a Yankee, remained a Yankee for the rest of his career, even if it wasn't for the money that he wanted. If we're going to bring up Aaron Judge, took less money. The Padres and Giants offered more money. Judge wanted to be a Yankee.
If I'm not mistaken, and I saw this earlier the day we're recording, I think the Padres offer was like $415 million, if I'm not mistaken. So the deal was beat by a long shot by the Padres. But he is more into the Yankee history than Juan Soto was. Because everyone said, "Oh well, he has love for the bleacher creatures and Monument Park." He didn't care. He was going to go to the highest bidder. If the White Sox or the Marlins, not that it would ever happen in their delusional franchises, but say the White Sox or the Marlins offered him $850 million, what team would we be talking about today?
Sorry, repeat the question.
If the White Sox or the Marlins offered Juan Soto $850 million, what team would we be talking about today?
We talk about them, but the problem is those are two teams that don't spend any money on players.
My point is that he was going to go to the highest bidder, even if it was a shitty team. It didn't matter. Because that's Scott Boras' MO.
I completely understand what you're going at, but at the same time, this is an individual who gave up a $400 million contract from the Washington
with the Nationals.
Yeah. In order to, because he wanted to be on a team that wins. So that's why I'm a little skeptical about your comment. I get what you're saying because it is Scott Boras, but I think the money became a factor here because it's Yankees and Mets.
Right. The one thing I would say is, do you think, let's say the Mets offer was 750, and let's just say, for all intents and purposes, the Marlins of all teams came in and offered 850. Does he go to the Mets knowing it's in New York, or can he not leave $100 million on the table?
I don't
He's
know.
not leaving $100 million on the table.
I don't know.
I just don't see that happening because that's been the logic the whole time. Think about the other teams, because this is the other part of the timeline I wanted to get to, which was Scott and Juan played this perfectly with all the teams that were supposedly involved. The Red Sox supposedly made an offer at $7 million for 15 years. The Dodgers supposedly made an offer not in the $700 million range, but close. The Blue Jays, and we can talk about the Blue Jays in a minute, just because they are the. Remember that term I used for people, boy who cried wolf?
Yeah.
Like, Toronto is the boy who cried wolf. They keep saying they're going to do something, and then we never hear from them. We didn't hear a peep out of their side at all, right?
Let me look up a contract offer, supposedly, that might have been out there.
Because I know, like, the Red Sox offer was not 100% public, but it was there.
It isn't clear. They were in the sweepstakes for much of the final weekend, but it apparently just was not clear. There is a report from Blue Jays Nation that it was just under $700 million.
And the Rogers family is loaded, like more loaded than the Yankees are.
Well, the Blue Jays, it's a matter of, like I told you before we started recording, it's little brother syndrome at this point, because this is now the second year in a row. They were all in supposedly on Shohei Ohtani last year, and they lost. They were all in on Juan Soto this year and lost. The Yankees weren't in on Shohei Ohtani. So, you look at not every team was in on Soto. Not every team was in on Shohei Ohtani. The Blue Jays were in twice and lost twice. And now you've got the Yankees, who are the defending American League champions. You've got the Orioles, who, if it weren't for the Yankees, would have a clear foothold on the division with the American League East. You have the Red Sox, who, despite all their struggles, despite their owner and the fans' hatred of that owner, the players actually ended up playing a decent, better than expected season. Toronto is just...
And we think they're going to lose Vlad. Possibly, too.
They will.
If anyone's happy on Toronto, it's Vlad, because the numbers are up and he's going to be the big free agent to hit the market next season. So he's the only one on the Blue Jays that's really smiling. But these other ridiculous rumors that went around, like the suite at Yankee Stadium, by the way, people need to get their head out of their ass. If they think that they lost Juan Soto over not getting the suite, or I'm sure you heard the other ridiculous thing that was going around with that the security guard not allowing his chef and his personal...
There was something about not recognizing family and giving family...
Like, are you kidding me? You're going to tell me that's why they... Come on.
I understand the frustration when it comes to family, because Soto is, if I'm not mistaken, a family man. But if you're not going to... if you're going to let a suite get between you and a Yankee deal, when Derek Jeter and Aaron Judge,
paid,
two captains, right, they had to pay for their own suite. Come on, man. That's why I said what I said. If he wanted to be a Yankee, he would have told Boras, F you. But of course...
that was like what A-Rod did when he fired Boras to be a Yankee, essentially doing his own negotiation.
Mm-hmm. So that's just that. And it's not a guarantee that the Mets are going to go anywhere, even with Soto, because they have other pieces that they got to fill. And you've got the Los Angeles Dodgers, who, as long as the deferred money isn't going to be hitting, are going to be a force with the National League.
Right. And then, obviously, so this happens. And then, if you go to banner number 2, please. This news flies out of the blue that Max Fried and the Yankees agreed to an 8-year, $218 million contract. It's the largest guaranteed deal in baseball history for a left-handed pitcher. Wow.
Yeah, it's $1 million more than the previous one, which was actually David Price.
But wow. Like, after drawing a line in the sand on Juan Soto, you go out and you give Max Fried $280 million. He's 30 years old, going to be 31.
I know, and that's the concern on my end. But I guess if you get 5 years out of that, 5 good years out of that, fine. And supposedly, according to the initial, fan reactions. Well, I say fan react, but fan media reaction, like John Boy and Fireside Yanks and company, that Fried is probably going to end up being the number 2. So Rodon would drop to 3.
That's fine.
I don't know if I would place him above Rodon, but if you're telling me Fried, Rodon, and Cole are your big 3 for the pitching, yeah, that's fine.
And Rodon finally found it in the playoffs. So maybe he's finally broken through.
So you have them. You have Luis Gil, the rookie of the year, who got a lot of stock, and
he'll just get better as he goes. So you have a decent 4-man right there.
Right. So the question is, what's going to happen with that remaining spot? And what's going to right now the answer is Clark Schmidt, but who knows, given whatever other holes the Yankees have to fill, because they're still infield holes. You still have a hole in the outfield. You need a closer. I don't know if Clark Schmidt is going to end up remaining a Yankee in this offseason.
You know what? This reminds me of the 08-09 offseason for the Yankees, where they basically said, all right, we're going to go out. We're going to go spend. We bought CC, AJ,
it goes to something I said on Sunday night. Hal and Brian would look like absolute hypocrites if in June or whenever it was, they did that negotiation ploy saying, oh, I don't know if we're going to retain Soto because we're looking to cut some payroll. And then they go and offer Soto $750+ million. Now you will look like hypocrites if you go back to the payroll argument. You have to spend. So I'm not the biggest fan of this contract itself.
It's big.
Right. But number one, that's just how baseball contracts are getting. We'll talk about that with the next topic of free agency signings. And number two, they had to. They had to show that they were willing to spend.
I mean, and the Yankees are attached to the next topic because I have a thought about that. But this deal had to be done. They needed to go out and fix the pitching. The pitching was a struggle. Now, injuries didn't help it. Garrett Cole was injured for most of the year.
Clark Schmidt was as well.
And like I said, I don't know if Clark Schmidt can really be a number 5. I mean, if you're going to put him in a spot, then 5 is fine because most of the time you could skip the 5 spot during the regular season. But would they go after Corbin Burns on top of signing Max Fried? Are they willing to dip into that much money to really make moves?
Well, who knows? Are all of their moves at this point going to be free agency signings? Because I see the Yankees making at least one trade within the coming days.
I mean, I think Arenado would be a great fit.
Yeah, we'll talk about Arenado in just a second, because there are other names. His future as a trade candidate can be up there alongside some of the other names that we've got going on with the winter meetings that at this point don't have homes. Obviously, Nolan has a home, but it looks like the Cardinals will deal him at some point during this offseason. But yeah, look, it's a good start, but there's still other holes that you need. You still need an outfielder. You need
a first baseman.
You need a first baseman. You need a closer. I know the outfield technically right now they have Judge, they have Trent Grisham who can now go to center and Judge can go back to right field, and then
I have one thing about that though. If you go with Grisham,
his bat's terrible. I know.
I think that's a massive failure by the Yankees.
I agree, but listen, my point was because I feel like an idiot because we didn't bring his name up,
right?
Because he was going not Grisham. I'm leading somewhere. We didn't bring his name up, and he was expected to be up here fully for the first time.
Dominguez
Soto leaving means this is Dominguez's time now.
just got to be healthy.
I know. That's the concern. All right, look at some of the other names. Willy Adames ends up signing a 7-year, $182 million deal with the Giants.
Willy Adames is insane. Like his bat is, now I said this to you I think a couple nights ago. Like he's not your like a ceiling guy, but he can play a lot of positions. He can hit. He'll go all fields.
And the Giants needed somebody with his versatility and his skills. And honestly,
the Giants are known for versatility players. That's what they like to sign.
And honestly, when you look at Adames and this deal, is a little bit of an overpay.
Yes,
maybe, but $20-something million is over the course of 7 years. Like you look at the AAV end of it, I don't think it's terrible.
I mean, the Giants have a tendency to overpay for the utility guys.
I think this is also going to Shohei Ohtani and some of these previous contracts in recent seasons have effed the free agency market.
Well, you're talking about the argument of the salary cap versus the floor, which we were talking about.
And again, because I know where you were kind of going with it, kind of not leading into it, but when you're talking about the White Sox and you're talking about the Marlins in the Juan Soto segment, you have owners like the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers who are willing to throw money around and spend on their players. But then you've also got,
I would say the Mets and the Dodgers now even more than everybody else because of their situation.
Correct. But my point is but at the same time, everyone's talking about, oh, this is terrible for baseball and you got to do something about it because small market. Okay. What about the A's owner who purposely made his team suck in order to go to Las Vegas?
Well,
what about the Marlins who, no, because now you got me started now.
No, I'm saying this is a good point. Because
what about the Marlins who have a history of, oh, it's time to pay you? Yeah, we'll destroy our World Series team.
Well, no, what you're saying is a good point because salary cap is easy. You put a number at the top and people got to follow it unless you're going to pay penalties. The floor is a whole different discussion because that means you have to spend a certain amount of money to meet the minimum spending requirement. Mm-hmm. And some teams on revenue base alone might not be able to reach the floor. If you think about that. So, like the A's, the Rays, the Pirates. I'm trying to think who else would really fit. The White Sox. No, maybe not the White Sox. But just those other three teams, they might not be able to spend that type of money, whatever that floor is.
I mean, look, I get that they may not be able to compete with the big guys, but at the very least, stop putting the money in your pocket.
Make an effort.
Right. Because, I mean, look at Pittsburgh. Yeah, you're celebrating with Paul Skeens right now, but I guarantee you, once his arbitration hits in a couple of seasons, I guarantee you he's getting traded.
Just watch the Yankees, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Phillies.
They'll all come after him, yep.
I mean, and actually, since we were talking about the A's, if you want to go to that one too.
Yeah.
So Luis Severino, which you and I are all too familiar with, signs with the A's for 3 years, $67 million. And when I first saw this come out, my mouth dropped to the ground. I was shocked when I saw it was the A's that gave him over $23 million a year for 3 years. Now, there is an opt-out after year 2. You made a good point also when we were talking about this, that this eventually could be trade bait.
Oh, I was going to go there. I was going to bring this sound effect back one last time this season. My feeling is, you're left. Oh, you say, oh, the A's are actually spending. Oh, they're actually going to be competitive. No,
they're not going to be competitive.
I'm going to tell you what they're doing. They are hoping that Severino has a decent season again, like he was doing with the Mets. And then what will happen is at the deadline, like you were alluding to, they'll say, okay, we'll actually retain some of that salary, but we don't want your number 13 prospect. We want your number 8.
I don't think the A's have that ability though to say I'm going to swallow money though, like other teams.
Okay, but then maybe they settle for 13. My point is Severino, they're willing to take a risk on. It's low risk, high reward for them. If he has a good season, they don't have a good season. Well, there's prospect value for them.
Right. And actually, I'll bring this up for everybody also because this was almost like a quiz that I gave Tom the other day. With this deal, if it was seen all the way through, do you remember what I said? How much money Severino is going to be at career-wise after this deal?
How much?
$130 million career. For a guy who's been, a 6 ERA with the Yankees? I mean, like, he had one good season.
Good on him.
$130 million.
All right. We have some other names that are being floated out there. Like I said, as of the time we're recording this, it's actually 8:30 p.m. Eastern time as the time.
Actually, another deal just broke, too.
Okay.
Nathan Eovaldi signed, and I have to get the exact number because I'm going to pass it because okay, here it is. Nathan Eovaldi and the Rangers are in agreement on a 3-year, $75 million contract with the Rangers.
Okay. I mean, the Rangers have needed a couple of pieces too after,
it's a lot of money for an injury-prone guy.
But Eovaldi has no pun intended, evolved himself ever since leaving the Yankees. He's definitely improved in terms of, can he get a little banged up now and again? Yes, but he is a phenomenal pitcher when healthy.
And teams keep paying this guy. I don't understand it.
I do, because he's phenomenal.
No, but I'm just saying, he gets these insanely large contracts. If he blows his arm out, that's the problem.
So now the question is, now some of the questions are, this Nolan Arenado rumor, is he's going to be dealt, but where is he going to go? After the Juan Soto signing with the Mets, what is now the fate of Pete Alonso? Is Paul Goldschmidt going to end up in the mix somewhere? Where's Christian Walker going to go? Alex Bregman's still out there. Anthony Santander is still out there. Teoscar Hernandez is still out there.
A lot of names.
Still a lot of names. But in the coming days, you'll probably see them go off the board.
I mean, the top one, I think at the top of the list is the most important here just because of free agency's sake. I don't know. Did the Yankees just pull themselves out now by signing Fried? I don't know.
I think so, and it's kind of disappointing because I would have loved a 1-2 punch of Burns and Cole, but I guess I don't know. And that's the thing. If Fried got 8 years, $218 million, what the hell is Corbin Burns going to get?
I have no idea.
You would have to probably get a 10-year deal.
Yeah, but when's the last time a pitcher got a 10-year deal? I can't even...
Garrett Cole?
Oh, was it Garrett Cole? I was thinking all the way back to Mike Hampton.
Yeah, well, I said Garrett Cole, but that was, they had the 10th year as the option. That was before all the, Cole saying bye, and then the Yankees saying bye, and then Cole saying, no, take me back.
Yeah, that was the Yankees calling Cole's bluff, and it worked. But Corbin Burns is going to end up on a massive competitor. I don't think he's back with the Orioles, though, because I don't think the Orioles want to pay that money.
Probably not. Red Sox are supposedly still there in the Corbin Burns sweepstakes.
The Red Sox are so full of shit, I have to say. And Ben's going to get mad at me, but they're so full of shit. They said they were in on Soto, didn't happen. They were in on Max Fried, didn't happen. Their ownership is acting cheap.
Ben's getting pissed. Ben is getting pissed.
The Red Sox ownership is acting cheap all of a sudden, and I don't understand why.
I know, but I'm saying, Ben's gonna get mad at you, but I think Ben is mad at ownership himself. He's probably pissed. He wants a competitive
in our
team.
slacks, he's already been mad. He said he's waiting for hitting for the cycle.
Oh boy. But a team that's actually projected. So the Red Sox are in it. Blue Jays, I guess, but it looks like as of this point, it's a Giants-based source, but it seems like the Giants are also in the mix, and I honestly could see the Giants winning out there.
I don't know. It's a tough one, really.
Arenado, I mean, I think at this point, if you're the Yankees, after losing out on Soto, needing infield help, you got to consider it. Going back to the conversation we were having about the rotation back in the Max Fried segment, it looks like that Marcus Stroman is probably, like he was in the playoffs, going to be a long relief, man. I think that's just it. He's going to be the odd man out.
I don't know what's happened to him, but he's kind of like disappeared off the face of the earth.
As far as this debate about Nestor and Clark Schmidt, obviously you and I are in agreement that Nestor would go, although I could see the Cardinals asking for Schmidt, if only because of Arenado's contract. But I'll say this. If we're giving up Schmidt, then I don't just want Arenado. I want Arenado and Helsley. Because then you have an opportunity. Helsley would be the closer that you've been missing the last couple of years.
Well, who was the one that was closing that actually pitched halfway decent, like down the stretch for the Yankees as a closer? I can't remember his name off the top of my head at the moment, but
Luke Weaver.
Luke Weaver. I don't know. Do you give him a chance to be the closer?
If you can't acquire Helsley, I think you gotta.
Because he's got good stuff. Just can we get rid of what's his name who kept throwing like 50,000 changeups in a row?
Clay Holmes?
No.
Okay. Well,
he was in and out of the Yankee bullpen for many years.
Oh. Well, I thought you were going to go with a Clay Holmes reference there because now he's been signed by the Mets too. We forgot.
Well, he's going to go be a starter in the Mets rotation because that makes total sense. That rotation is awful in Flushing. It's awful. It's bad.
Speaking of Flushing, Pete Alonso. So are the Mets out now since they spent nearly $800 million on Soto?
Would you put it past Steve Cohen to say, "Hey, I'll spend another $200 million"?
To put $1 billion combined on two players? No, I wouldn't put it past him.
Dodgers and the Mets both spending $1 billion in the offseason, but I don't know. I just don't see them putting all that money out.
All right, so.
And if your next question is the Yankees, I'd say probably not.
No, I was trying to see. So apparently the Mets somehow are still in it to re-sign Pete Alonso. 8 minutes ago, Nick J. Marchese, Pete Alonso possible on the Washington Nationals.
Oh my God, that team stinks.
Would he go? First of all, we laughed about Pete Alonso possibly jumping ship to the Yankees, like a swap of players, and if that would be an insult. But I mean, look, I get going to a division rival would probably be an insult, and I enjoy watching the Nationals, but
oh brother, this guy stinks.
And when I say this guy, I don't mean Alonso, I mean the Nationals.
It's pretty bad. They've been bad for years.
I would like to see the Yankees, if we're taking names out here, I would like to see the Yankees get Christian Walker to fill that first base hole.
They are talking to him.
I want to see it get done.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I know, but I don't know if everything is going to be done. I highly doubt it. But the Yankee response, the dream Yankee response would be trading for Arenado and Helsley, grabbing either Teoscar or Santander, and grabbing Walker.
It's a lot.
I know it's a lot. It's not going to happen, but I feel like that would be my dream offseason with no Soto now.
The other thing I forgot to point out
about
the number that the Yankees were going to spend, $760 million. That's another thing that fans have a misconception on when they see the number. They're like, oh, well, we didn't spend $760 million. That means we have $760 million. No, you don't have $760 million. You have whatever the yearly AAV value, which was close to $48 million a year. So you have $48 million to work with. And most of these guys are going to be in the $20+ million range or more.
Yeah.
So if you look at some of these guys on this list, Christian Walker's obtainable. Santander is obtainable. I don't know about Teoscar Hernandez because his stock is riding high right now.
Santander had
the Derby.
But Santander had a hell of a last couple of seasons with Baltimore.
I almost could see him going back to Baltimore too. Like that's.
I don't know. After Baltimore got Tyler O'Neill, I don't know.
That signing confused me, but
O'Neill's a good player.
He is a good player, but I'm saying, how do you not go and get your guy back first in Santander and spend the money?
I guess they think O'Neill will be an upgrade.
We'll see, but there's a lot of movement to go on. Like Goldschmidt is another guy I would watch too. He's a decent hitter. He strikes out a lot, but he's quality at first base, which is really what you need.
All right. So that's all of the baseball talk. Still have 5 more things to go through in the next 20 minutes, but all a little bit of smaller things mostly on the football end, one story on the basketball end. Football end leading off with these rumors that popped up all of a sudden this week.
Was on crack!
Bill Belichick. We talked about what his future could be after he took this NFL season off, and the rumors started back up. Maybe he is looking to go back into coaching, but it would be, no, not with the NFL. It would be, in the words of Tony Reale, college.
I was like, wait a minute. What is this real? Like this rumor that I'm seeing right now? Like, oh, wait, Bill Belichick is going to be the next head coach of the University of North Carolina?
So did Michael Jordan actually meet up with Bill Belichick one day and talked about how fun of a time he had at North Carolina? And Bill was like, maybe that convinces me enough.
Or he just wanted to see his girlfriend at the college.
That would probably be what is it? One of those conditions for him accepting the role.
So one is his son, Steven Belichick, taking over after 2 years.
That's the real reason, to be clear.
But I just found it funny on Twitter, like that people were showing like that his girlfriend is already like all following all the University of North Carolina accounts.
Imagine you're the roommate of Bill Belichick's girlfriend, and you walk into the dorm one day, and then here he is just sitting there.
Hey guys, what's going on? I knew what you were doing.
Like, do I pull it out? Oh, you can do it today. Yes.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Bill, what are you doing in the dorm?
I'm trying to fit in.
Take your stuff, get out of here, and go off to Cincinnati.
Okay.
Although he's not that way on the Manning cast.
I gotta give him credit on the Manning cast. Like I actually watched it the other night, and like he's good on there. He's got some personality.
You know what? It reminds me of what I said about Tom Brady once Tom Brady left New England for Tampa Bay. It felt like more personality came out after leaving that place.
I find it hilarious that he takes shots at people too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it actually happened at any point this season on the Manning cast, but I would have loved to have seen Bill Belichick and Tom Brady both on the screen with the Manning brothers. I feel like at least the playoff game, the playoff game that ESPN's going to get, that has to happen.
I have no idea, but I'm still calling BS on this. I don't think he ends up as the coach of University of North Carolina. I just don't think he goes there. He wants to be in the NFL. He wants a head coaching job. And if I'm Bill Belichick, why'd you just stay doing all the media jobs? You basically make your own schedule. You do what you want. Are you really that desperate at like 73 or 74 years old to be a head coach again? You really want to go through all that pressure?
Who knows? Some people, football or sport, any sport, not just football, becomes their life. Bill Belichick probably, I don't know. maybe he has this distaste of the fact that his last season in New England went so horrible.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that's all his fault, though.
I agree, it's not all his fault, no, but
I would
still.
blame Kraft more than I'd blame
I mean, look,
Belichick.
Belichick and the Patriots parted ways, and look what they are under Mayo. They still suck. And now a rumor has started. Rumor, so don't take this with a grain of salt. That if the Patriots don't show any signs of life over the next few weeks, Mayo could be coaching for his job.
I mean,
imagine getting fired after one season. Yeah, that would be crazy.
I mean, they're not winless, so I think he'll survive.
Well, I was going to ask, but would you put this past Robert Kraft if he fired Mayo so quickly?
I think he'd be an idiot. If you want my true opinion of it, I think that you got to give him a chance. It's his first year on the job. You can't fire him. I mean, like, you just came off, a 20-plus year coach now?
Dynasty, yeah.
You got to give the coach a chance to work it out.
And I'm curious if there's any, smoke to those reports. I'm curious how Ben would react to that.
I mean, I think Bill Belichick got a little bit of an unfair flip of the coin in that situation, even though he's had an incredible career. My opinion is that Belichick needed Brady more than Brady needed Belichick, by the way. I've always thought that. Because, look, Brady went off to Tampa, wins a Super Bowl. Belichick never won again after Brady left.
But again, I can't put that all on Belichick, like you said.
I'm not. But obviously, look at the value proposition.
Well, speaking of quarterback and speaking of value, Brock Purdy, the talks have already begun. The 49ers, I mean, technically still alive because the NFC West is kind of a packed race in this last month of the season.
Or shitty.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the Seahawks, after their sweeping the Arizona Cardinals this season, looks like the Seahawks are in control of the division as of this point.
Wow.
The Niners are basically fighting for their life with all of their injuries. But
beating a flailing Bears team.
But given everything that's been going on with the 49ers, and I said on Football Forecast that they should probably look to back it in. I mean, look, you mentioned this. You mentioned this when we were talking during the offseason with the Brandon Ayuk negotiation and the holdout and all of that. Let me try that again. It came back up that, hey, in the offseason, Brock Purdy's going to be a free agent. Brock Purdy is going to want to get paid after all that he did with this 49ers team. So are they going to be able to afford that?
He's not going to be up here because that's just not.
I want to say you're right because of how this season has gone, number one, and number two, him being a last round draft pick. But he also did lead the 49ers to a Super Bowl appearance. And number two, we have seen the title of highest paid quarterback flip like a game of hot potato.
It's not going to be with him. It's just not. Just because.
Do you think it's going to be with Sam Darnold?
Highest paid quarterback? No. He's been really good, but he's not. Remember prior history before that. I mean,
I know.
So he'll get paid. He'll get overpaid.
I was going to say, you don't see a team getting desperate and signing Purdy or Darnold to a mega deal out of desperation.
I think what's going to happen is the Niners are eventually going to sign him. It's going to hurt because it's going to be more money than they want to spend, but they will do it.
They're going to want to try and keep the team together.
But I don't think he's the most valuable player on the team by any means. I think McCaffrey, which I made a bold statement on Forecast this past week, saying that I think his career is over, and I still think his career might be over because he's had far too many injuries to come back from.
I don't know if I would go as far as to say his career is over, but I'm worried. I don't know if he's going to come back the same player.
I don't think he will. And remember, he's a running back. Running backs, once you have so many injuries to your legs, That's it.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to 3, 4, 5. This is his 8th season already in the NFL. He's going to be entering his 9th season when he comes back next year. That's a lot. That's longer than some other running backs.
They say the average NFL career in general is 3 years.
3 years, especially for a running back.
So the only anomaly I would say right now is Saquon when he signed with the Eagles, just having a huge year.
There's a few anomalies, I would say. Like, the only ones who really break that stride are like the elite of the elite in the net, like Saquon, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara.
Well, Derrick Henry has been a massive anomaly. I would agree. Like, because last season was just a shit show for him in Tennessee, but that's not his fault. 100%.
Tennessee was just a Tennessee. I said was, but honestly is still just a bad team.
That offensive line, and I could say the same reason for Saquon. When you get behind an offensive line,
that's what I have argued when everyone was making. I said that when we were talking about the Daniel Jones stuff. About, I should have signed Saquon. Like, no, he actually has a freaking offensive line in Philadelphia.
Not just an offensive line, an offensive juggernaut line. Where he can basically run the ball up the teeth. If he tried to run up the teeth in New York, he would get his ass sent back.
Granted, Philadelphia's offense, I guess, is having problems now. Apparently, Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown supposedly hate each other.
That is the pettiest argument in the entire world, by the way. And by the way, no cover for the Eagles, which we all basically said. By the way, that person's lucky that he bet money line on the Eagles, that $3.1 million bet. So he ended up winning like $400,000 on top of the 3.1.
Hey,
so
my lock hit.
I'm going to say it now because I'm going to be mad. Fuck you, Jets. Well, fuck you, Dolphins, I should say, actually. But somehow the Jets made it competitive.
And I know another team. I know another team that you're going to give an FU.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, them too.
But going back to this, yeah, for some reason, I think as of this point, the 49ers are just going to stick with him. They're going to give him the money.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's go back to the Giants for just a second.
This is so Giant fans.
A plane flying over MetLife Stadium telling John Mara, quote, fix this dumpster fire.
Are you surprised?
No, but did you see after the missed field goal that one of the fans on camera put down they had a bag over their head and it said something like 2-10 or 2-11, and right under it said exactly what I tweeted out a couple of weeks ago, Nick. Sell the team. Sell the team.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Look,
well,
but again, you think about the quarterbacks that they've had, the head coaches that they've turned around, the GMs. If it's not any of them and there's consistent struggle with all of them, who do you blame? Ownership.
That's a good point. Now, the other funny story, and I told you this a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So supposedly, and it hasn't been confirmed 100%, a Giants player messaged an OnlyFans model and offered her tickets to the game to distract the Saints players. Now,
this story.
And there's a picture of the model in the stands, and there's
flashing the field.
Right, and there's DMs attached to the bottom, and it says, "Hey, sexy, got those 2 free tickets to the game? If you do me a solid and flash the Saints to distract them." And the model goes, "OMG, what for now? For how? I play for the Giants. I got you."
Well, clearly that worked because you still lost the damn game.
I mean,
number 1 pick incoming, Tank Bowl.
And you know what's even funnier? They didn't blur this out, so I see the name of the OnlyFans model too.
Oh no!
But you can't even get the distraction to help you.
Unbelievable. Yeah. The way to just respond to this, man. The only way this dumpster fire gets fixed is if that man sells the team.
Not happening.
I know. College football. I mean, we don't talk about it much, but we had some history here. You know, the first ever 12-team CFP bracket. And so I think I'm in agreement. You know, our friend Anthony Ballister from Forever Power 5, who is a big Alabama fan, is pissed right now. But I think I kind of agree with the majority of college football fans that I think they got it right.
You can't take SMU out. That there would have been riots and outcries and everything.
So quickly for those who, you know, didn't see the bracket somehow, slept under the rock. You've got Oregon as the 1 seed. You have Georgia as the 2. Number 3, I want to say that's Boise. Yeah, that's Boise State. And then the 4 seed in the bracket. The 4 seed in the brackets. I can't see who that is, actually. I can't tell from the logos. 5 is Texas, though. 6 is Penn State. 7 is Notre Dame. 8 is Ohio State. 9 is Tennessee. Those 2 teams are actually going to be playing off with one another. Playing off. Or playing against one another, I should say.
So 4 is Arizona State.
It's Arizona, yeah. Arizona State.
5
9
is Texas.
Yeah, 9 is Tennessee. Where's 10? Oh, that's Indiana, 10. Number 11.
SMU.
There they are. And 12 is Clemson. I think they kind of got it right. Alabama.
You can't take SMU out. Like, even though like the game was a 56-yard field goal, like you can't take them out because they
Alabama lost 3 times. One of whom, or 1 or 2 of them, I think, were teams that ended up finishing 500. Didn't Alabama lose to Michigan?
I'm not sure. I think you might be right.
And Michigan ended up finishing 500. No, yeah. Alabama didn't lose to Michigan. Actually, pardon me, Michigan and Alabama are going to be facing off in the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Yep, one of the 41 or 42 bowl games. It's your favorite time of the year where you get to hear all the ridiculous sponsor bowl games. Can we just get like the empty the bench bowl already?
Yeah, but they lost to Tennessee. They lost to Oklahoma. They lost to Oklahoma. That was a terrible loss. And they lost to Vanderbilt. I'm sorry. When you lose to Oklahoma, you got blown out by Oklahoma in the way that you did, losing to Vanderbilt. Tennessee's not so bad, but the other 2, sorry.
Not great.
But I guess it sparked this whole debate again about, you know, strength of schedule, strength of opponents versus win record.
It's stupid. I mean, I still will fight and claw. Just put the best 12 records in and stop judging what's a good win and what's a good loss.
But then what? Okay, no, I get what you're saying and I understand it, and I would be for it. But then what's to stop Alabama then from picking 12 weak lower conference opponents?
I'm saying that the team should not be able to determine their schedule.
Oh, you think the NCAA should develop a body like the NFL, MLB to make schedules?
Enough with this bullshit, because the bigger schools determine who they want to play. Why do you think they pay some of these ridiculous small level schools $700,000, $750,000? They want an easy win. That's why.
But those teams will end up, those other smaller schools will take it because they're getting big money from.
They don't care if they win or lose. They just want the money.
Mm-hmm. All right. One last topic here. The NBA. After all this time, after all the bad fallout that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago, the NBA is going back to China.
Guangdong Tigers. Ni hao! Ni hao! Ni hao!
Are you just playing that and just mad because the Nets are going to be involved in one of those games?
No, because I just think this whole thing is a joke. Like they stupidly lost China last time because of that stupid debacle that they had. Now it just seems like the NBA is desperate for attention and money because that's all they're about.
They want to. I think it's just a matter of, they've been trying to expand internationally just like everybody else, like just like all the other major league sports. They've been doing a good job with it, but they lost the big market with China and they want to get it back.
Because they're assholes. That's why they lost China.
Well, you saw all the players speaking out on social media, if I'm not mistaken, when that happened.
I forgot what the exact reason was, and I'm trying to find it, but they lost hundreds of millions of dollars as a result of the NBA being taken off Chinese television.
Right. Well, you saw Yao Ming basically be one of the first when he came over to the league, helped out. What's up?
It was the Daryl Morey tweet.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That the whole
Daryl Morey's an asshole. Now he's in Philadelphia. Well, that's James Harden, but yes, same point.
Oh, did you say James Harden? You mean Mr.
Well, yeah. So, Suns Nets preseason going over to China. No one cares about preseason basketball. No one. That's why they put all these international games in the preseason, because they're looking for some way to get attention. It's really, they're desperate to have China back. That's pretty much what they're trying to do here.
It would help them. It would help them. The millions of dollars they'll get back.
I mean, they're already making billions from these TV contracts. They don't care.
I know, but they want it back. They want the market back.
Oh, good. So they can expand the Emirates Cup to even more markets.
Oh, God. All right. Well, speaking of back, we'll be back next year.
Holy shit. It's over. The year is over.
It's over. It's finally over.
As you can say, put 2024 in the books. So 261 episodes in the books. 20.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Rest of the schedule then, because I did this for MMA Outsiders the other day. So ETB Sports will have its usual 2-week best of shows. First episode of the first part for the first half of the year will be next week on December 18th. And then part 2 will take place on Christmas Day. Now, unlike in other years, we're not going to come back the week after. It would be on New Year's Day. We're not recording on New Year's Eve. Sorry, not sorry. That's not happening.
Not happening.
So we're going to take that week off. I think all the shows that are happening on Wednesdays, Bando's Breakdowns, us, MTGP, are going to take the New Year's week off. And we will return with episode 262 on, that would then be Wednesday, January 8th.
Yeah, and it's always funny. That episode seems to have like a bunch of news that comes out of it. We got to
play catch up from what we missed in the first few, the last couple of weeks or the last month in this case.
How many years ago was it? We had the soccer news. Well, the unfortunate news with I can't remember his name. Oh, Grant Wall. If you remember,
that was 2 years ago.
I remember that story specifically, and that was a big deal right after the New Year with the World Cup, all that stuff. So you never know, and usually, because you'll laugh at or chuckle this a little bit. Dana White will do something stupid during our holiday break, and maybe not get drunk. Maybe not get drunk and slap his wife, but
Conor McGregor's just going off on Twitter left and right. It's like, no, please.
By the way, I can say this because I can literally say it. You're welcome, because I'm the one who found it.
I'm so mad that you did that we had to go back into the studio and do another segment.
I wasn't even trying. I was just like, I thought I was catching you while you were still recording. I thought you would have saw it.
No, we had just finished the promo. We had just hit end.
I was like, all right, maybe they'll see it. Maybe they can crowbar this into the episode without anybody noticing. And then He's like, oh wait, we got to go back.
And so we had to have you edit and do the whole this scratch sound effect. Hi there.
Well, I don't know if you saw it yet, but I put in rainbow bars, like a real technical difficulty. So anyone who sees that,
all right.
hi there.
Yeah, well, we said hi there on the MMA Outsiders, and now we're going to say bye there. We'll see you next time. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified of everything here at the Empty the Bench Network, especially as we're getting into best of mode. Again, follow us across social media at ETB Sports and at ETB Network on Twitter, aka X, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure to subscribe to youtube.com/ETB Network. Help us get to 900, eventually get to 1,000. If you don't want to see our ugly mugs, you can listen to this show wherever you get your podcast, Acast, Spotify, Apple Podcast. Hell, maybe you want to watch on YouTube anyway, but turn the video off if you have the YouTube Premium. So good on you. Or maybe you're sitting at your computer and you just, open another tab, do whatever it is that you're doing while having us in the background. And then, of course, shout out to our friends over at Playback who sponsor our show and everything else here at the network.
Yeah, we'll be busy during the Christmas holiday break, catching up on some NBA and the Emirates Cup, because we all know how much I love the Emirates Cup.
Can't you wait that you can't wait to do the championship game for that?
Oh,
I was supposed to be with you for that, but then all of a sudden a work event happened. So good luck.
I'm so excited and I just can't hide it.
All right.
But for the final time this year, which is very odd and strange to say, this is Empty the Bench, episode 261. That's Tom Albano. I'm Nick Morgasen. Have a good rest of your year, 2024. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, or as I like to say, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. Whatever that.
That's what I was. You took my thing. Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. I wasn't going to do it this year.
I forgot what show it's from, but
it's a Nickelodeon thing.
Yeah, but
back in the day. Happy holidays, guys. Enjoy your holiday season, and we will see you in the new year. We'll see you in 2025.
That's crazy that 2025 is around the corner. But yeah, enjoy the holiday. Happy New Year. More shenanigans to come in 2025. And yeah, I guess that'll do it. He's Tom. I'm Nick. Have a good rest of the year. We will see you next year. Have a good night, everybody.